Come on in. Hi, it's Pastor Aaron, Grace and Truth Church, and I want to talk about gender confusion, other types of confusion. Here's the truth. Get real about the subject. Okay? God is not the author of confusion. He's the God of peace. Okay? If you listen to yesterday's broadcast, we laid the point out through the scriptures that all things that exist came through Jesus. Jesus intended to have a certain order. He created it with an idea of an order. And that sin is rebellion against God's order. That's why it says in Hebrews that Jesus, the scripture says, Jesus hates lawlessness. That means those who disagree with the way Jesus created the order of things. And then we talked about how he created male and female. He created marriage in the very beginning. We talked about that yesterday. So God has an order. So confusion comes from Satan. God is not the author of confusion. Okay? He's the author of order. Hence creation, like study biology. Bees pollinate. We need that for food to grow. And you break down everything. Male, female, he created. He has an order to it. And then there's peace when you flow with God's order. Now, there's not peace when you are in a lawlessness to God's order. So the truth is, 1 Corinthians 14:33, I said God is not the author of confusion of peace. So Satan is the author of confusion. Do you know that the scripture tells us that Satan is acting as God of this world? That's 2 Corinthians 4:4. Go read it. Satan, the little tiny g, is the God of this order. So what is the little g God, Satan, of this world doing? If you read the rest of it, it says he is blinding the minds of those who are unbelievers, so they cannot see the gospel of Jesus Christ. If they are blinded, that's what he wants. There is confusion. When you walk blind, you walk, oh, I bumped into something. Oh, I tripped over something. It's confusion. You don't see clearly. His intent is to blind and confuse. So when you talk about things like gender confusion, all that, that is not godly, because God created all things. Christ created all things. He had a purpose. Satan, well, matter of fact, let me tell you what, the creator of everything, Jesus, who is the creator, all things came through Christ. Here's what he said in John 8:44. When conversing with some Jews, he made this point. He told them, you are of your father, the devil. Then he explains what the devil is. He says, you are of the father, your devil, and you want to do the desires of your father. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. Whenever he tells a lie, he speaks from his own nature, because he is a liar and the father of lies. Okay? So the devil cannot produce a truth. So if he's the father of lies, and he's the God of this world system, and he's blinding the minds of unbelievers, then he's instituting confusion within the world. The problem is those who are walking in confusion will become angry to those walking in the light and flowing with God's order. That's what you're watching. When you're watching on the phone with the internet, that's what you're seeing. All the videos. So Jesus came to bring us out of darkness. So I'm not sure how we preach the gospel, but if you want things to be greater again in America, in a culture, salvation through Jesus Christ is the way. You talk to anyone who has been lost and saved will tell you how much better salvation is. How much better salvation is. I'm getting a phone call. So let me tell you one last thing. Ephesians 4 7. I don't know how to turn that off. I need to figure out how to turn that off so when I do a broadcast, I'm doing it from a phone. But let me close it down with this 4:17. So I say this, and I affirm in the Lord. This is the last thing I want to share. I say this and affirm in the Lord that you are to no longer walk as Gentiles walk. Stop walking as the Gentiles walk. In this case, he's referring to Gentiles as non-believers. Stop walking as the Gentiles walk, just as they walk in the futility of their minds. They have become darkened in their understanding. They're excluded from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them, because they have hard hearts and they have become callous, have given themselves up to indecent behavior for the practice of every kind of impurity with greed. But you did not learn that behavior from Christ. You have been taught from him. So he's referring to unbelievers as those who walk in the futility, darkened, their heart of heart, they're callous. And because of that, they want to do nasty things. That's basically, when you're in sin, unbelief, you get drawn that way. But when you get saved, you become drawn away from those things. It's a salvation, and you begin to walk more in the order of God's ways. Talk to someone, me, a sinner, got saved, and Christ in me is pulling me toward the light, toward God's ways. It's a pulling that happens. Until you get Jesus, you begin to keep walking the futility of your minds. So the confusion that you see, anger comes with confusion, all of that. There is no peace because God is not the author of confusion, but he is one of peace. So salvation is the answer to Christ. Makes our communities better. Makes your life better, your heart better, your family's better.